still doing it over time, give it enough time. Everywhere you have a channel, you get a certain kind of a deposit, and on the banks, you get a certain kind of deposit. You might have nice clean sand in the channel, and up on the banks, you get the real fine silty stuff that only deposits whenever flood stage occurs. Fluid level gets up over the bank and lays down sediment. The point I'm making is that the modeling that's done to calculate and make determinations of radius of influence discounts the geology or the stratigraphy or the difference in the sediment. It pretty much assumes that everything within that circle is the same stuff, but the fact of the matter is, that well may just be perfectly placed in one of these channels where the sand content is much greater and it has a longer reach. And so it's reaching out, you know, getting gas from a greater area. So that's one possibility.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and again, I can't even pretend to make the suggestions as how to operate this thing and how to solve the problem, but this well is producing a lot of gas. Number 50 down the street's producing a lot of gas. How far are they apart? 700 feet? 600 something feet. I mean, I wonder, should we do a little experiment one day and say, okay, let's shut in one of those wells and let's see if production increases at the other well. If that would happen, I mean, this is just Kunash reckoning now, but wouldn't that mean the radius of influence is greater than what we thought?
It could, or it could suggest that there's some kind of connection, stratigraphy or stratigraphic connection. But I would say, I would argue that you may not have to do that. Number one, we don't want to shut anything in, we want to keep the gas flowing. But we could go back and look at the trend, the production trend from 36, and see if there were any shifts whenever we put the number 50 online. If they were connected, we probably should have seen something change in 36. And I don't
36 went up.
Actually went up.
It's actually
Yeah, I've
going,
already checked it.
it's actually going up.
And that's a good thing.
So much for that
Yeah.
theory.
You know, well,
Respect that one.
you know, it's just it's perplexing. It's hard.
It is. It's-
You know, we dotted the country with CPTs. Where's the CPT map? Look at all these right here. And you know, Dr. Hecox and others built models from the data, and it's hard to make sense out of the geology out here. It's just a jumbled up, mixed up layer of, you know, the most distinct feature you have is the MRA, but even it's not pure sand. You've got intervals in there where it goes back into impermeable shell, you know, and they're little lenses, they're not continuous. So, you know, it's hard to say.
Well, again, you know, my question is not designed to embarrass anybody or make anybody look like they don't know anything. I think there's a lot that's still unknown here, you know, so there's nothing wrong with you or anybody else saying we really don't know, you know?
No,
But it's something to look at, it's something maybe to study.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit that. I mean, and I think everybody involved in this response has been pretty consistent in saying that. If you remember, months ago, we were down at the Napoleon Community Center, we were all saying, we don't have a book that we can pick up to understand this. We've got to learn as we go. And it truly is an unprecedented event. We're dealing with things that have never really happened and have not had to, people have had to deal with. So we're writing the rules as we go, but absolutely open to any suggestions. I mean, it'd be an interesting exercise to go back and look at the pressure trends and data and see if there was any shift at all. Not only with 50, but with any of the others that are, you know, around 36. Right? Right. 37 didn't do much, but
37 shut in, huh?
Yeah, 37 is shut in.
these guys over here are still producing.
Yeah.
How about the two new ones south of us?
56, 55 and 56,
They're good.
they're still producing.
Pretty good.
And yeah, they're
Pretty good.
they're above 0.5 MCF per day. And 57 and 58, which we just put in, are both flowing pretty well.
Yeah. What I'm going to do for the next time we get together, I'll get a couple of drawings like this that have each of the wells, and we'll have their current flow rate, so you can get a picture of the disproportionate volume of gas that's coming from just a handful of wells. And I think those are locations where we just happen to tap into the right spot. But again, I refer back to this. This is good stuff right here. I mean, this tells me that we're gaining on it, we're making progress, and given enough time, this is going to get down to that 0 point. You know, and you can pretty much draw a line and get there. Will we we ever get all of the gas out? I doubt it. I really doubt it. There's gonna be a certain percentage that's gonna stay there. I think the bigger question you have to ask yourself is it hazard to me? You know, is it something I can live with?
Right.
And I think most of us would agree that it's been manageable. I mean, we've been able to live with it. It's not the best of circumstances, but nor has it been, you know, a situation where anybody's been hurt, thank God.
I have another question, and I guess I'm full of questions tonight, but I don't have answers, so y'all help me out. You mentioned we're gonna see another round of CPT.
Yes.
Okay, in my mindset, I learned a little bit about CPT and MIHPT. CPT, I thought just basically checked the soil condition below the surface of the earth. But MIHPT had something on that probe to actually detect gas. So again, it's Kunak's logic thinking here. Should we be using more MIHPT or CPT is the tool that's appropriate at this point?
We settled on CPT because we found that it was better suited for what our objectives were. And the concern we have with the MIHPT is that it's a flame ionization detector, that's the I in it.
Right.
And what it does is it actually picks up hydrocarbons.
Right.
And the concern we had was that the MIHPT would give us false positives and would take into account gas that's there naturally, the biogenic, the swamp gas. A lot of the gas that we pulled from the shallow subsurface remains to be biogenic and naturally occurring. The CPT, the advantage we have with the CPT is that you can really discern that gas zone, because once you go into it, you know, as you're pushing the probe down, you have a constant increase in pressure, because as you go deeper, the hydrostatic pressure, the weight of the water above that tip on that tool, increases with depth. And when you go into a gas zone that's free of water, it'll flatline. So you go from an increase to a flat line, and then you go back to an increase. And it's that interval in between that enables us to put a number on the wall and say, I've got 3 feet of gas here, or I've got 5 feet of gas here. Now, I don't want to throw stones at anybody, but I think part of the reason that the gas quantity may have been overstated in this area around Sportsman's Landing is because we did depend highly on the MIHPT. So it doesn't benefit us to get information that's not factual or actionable. You know, you don't necessarily want to use a tool that's going to lead you to believe that you've got a much bigger problem than you actually do. And I don't mean to sound flippant or, you know, that's just the scientific approach. And what we decided, what we determined was that the CPT was the better way.
Yes, if I could explain it just a different way, Dennis, is that the CPT indicates gas that may be recoverable, whereas an MIHPT just indicates that gas may be there. And you don't know what kind of gas it is.
That's a good point. Remember what we said earlier on, I think it was Dr. Hartman on the BRC made this observation too, about, I think he said about a third of the gas that may have been released probably will never be produced because it'll become dissolved in the water. The MIHPT will pick that up, whereas the CPT won't because they're in water. So that was really the big advantage. I appreciate you bringing that up. I forgot about that. That's a good question. Nothing else from you, Bob? Have y'all met, has everyone met BD?
BD.
But my dog,
What's his dog?
Bob's dog.
Bob's dog,
You brought him around, nearly stole him, took him back to Texas with him.
Yeah.
That's a good dog.
The worst,
What's that?
Never met Bella.
No, bring
Oh, she's calm, don't worry. I got 4, okay.
And you've got cats, right? You've got cats.
One cat, just one.
Well,
Just one.
Just one. You got something you're taking care of?
Just a few.
Okay. I don't have much else to report. I'll be happy to take any questions, whatever you got. Looking at you, Nick, because I know you got one.
Yeah, got one.
Okay.
ORW 38. Can you tell me, does the pressure well still have pressure on it?
Not to my knowledge.
Does ORW 38 have pressure on it?
Well, didn't you put it there because, is there another well there that has pressure?
VC2.
Yeah,
Okay.
VC2 did.
So what's the pressure on that?
VC2 is 0, the tubing pressure of 0, and I think the casing pressure was 5 or 6.
Okay.